Tonight on Cronkite News, how Arizona schools are following the Trump administration's DEI initiatives.
Plus, Arizona lawmakers react to the leaked group chat that reportedly disclosed war plans.
I'm from old school college baseball where, you went out there and worked hard for what you had and you barely had enough money to go eat lunch on.
And MLB players reflect on their college careers and what they think on the new era of NIL. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Max Williams.
And I'm Caitlin Humphrey. Thank you for joining us.
The Trump administration has promised to do away with the Department of Education. Just last week, President Trump issued an executive order doing just that. Tonight, Cronkite News reporter Ripley Simone Kinnebrew has a breakdown on what that could do to impact students in Arizona. She joins us now from the Google touchscreen.
To remember before we jump into this breakdown is that public schools in Arizona receive funding from state governments and federal resources. For the 2021 to 22 school year, 19% of that funding came from federal resources according to USA Facts. 19% comes from the Department of Education and in Arizona primarily supports Title IX programs and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Now with the tool provided by the Education Law Center, I'll show you what a 50% and 100% reduction of funds would look like to these programs. Starting with Title IX at a 50% reduction, Arizona schools could lose $172 million. The majority of that money provides assistance to schools with high numbers of students from low-income families. Another effect at 50% is that over 3,000 jobs would be lost to maintain all programs funded through Title IX. Switching over to a 100% reduction for Title IX, $345 million and over 7,000 teacher-level entry positions would be lost. At a 50% reduction for IDEA programs, grants given to states to meet the excess costs of special education and grants given to infants, families, and children with disabilities would lose a total of $136 million and just under 3,000 jobs are impacted. At a 100% reduction, $273 million in federal revenue and almost 6,000 jobs. And lastly, do you know if your student could be affected by a reduction in funding? In a statement, Governor Katie Hobbs says Arizona students rely on the department to access the FAFSA that unlocks Pell Grants and other financial aid. Fully dismantling the Department of Education would take a congressional act. At the Google touchscreen, Ripley Simone Kinnebrew, Cronkite News.
Changes to the Department of Education are just one of many controversial decisions President Trump has made over the course of his second presidency. And many organizations like the NAACP and teachers unions have sued the president over his efforts to dismantle it.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI programs, are also a hot topic of discussion all across the U.S. From nationwide rollbacks at individual companies to new state laws, even here in Arizona, I heard from voices on both sides about a bill at the Arizona legislature that would impact DEI instruction at our public universities. Senate Bill 1694 is making its way through the Arizona legislature, pushing for the rollback of DEI programs within Arizona universities. The bill states that a higher education institution in this state is ineligible to receive state monies if the institution offers one or more courses on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
I think it's the most interesting divide in the country right now. People like me who believe people should be judged on the basis of their individual merit, and people who want to substitute, racial claims.
While many are in favor of this bill, like Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Horn, in a hearing at the state capitol, opponents argue the threat to funding at Arizona public universities forces them to remove DEI courses to stay afloat.
Anti-DEI initiatives are the Trojan horse to destroy higher education and with it an informed and empowered populace.
Natalia Brown urged lawmakers not to advance the bill.
Anyone can make up things about DEI, but facts and truth show that it is actually about ensuring someone's merits are considered, regardless of their race, ethnicity, or gender, creating equitable opportunities for all, not special privileges for some.
Republican lawmakers in particular argued the opposite.
I have seen more with this DEI that we've actually created more division and dividing into different groups. And I believe we're all red-blooded Americans, and I do not believe that this type of DEI instruction is necessary.
The bill is on track to advance further as the discussion around DEI programs and their importance continues to stay relevant across the nation. The bill would cover Arizona's 3 public universities and community colleges.
And an Arizona lawmaker is reacting to the reported leak of sensitive war information by top defense officials. That leak is said to have happened when a journalist was added to a group chat on the messaging app Signal. Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief at The Atlantic, says he was added to a group chat with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Vice President J.D. Vance, and others. He says the chat included operational details for attacks U.S. troops would enact hours after they were shared. Democratic lawmakers have voiced their frustration with the report, demanding investigations into how this information was leaked. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly had this to say.
It is careless. It is reckless. There should be an investigation, and folks need to be held accountable for this level of incompetence. Secretary of Defense should not be sharing targeting information for a strike off of an aircraft carrier and other assets. I don't even have the details of exactly what was shared, but we need to find out.
The Trump administration says no classified information or war plans were shared in this group chat. And the National Security Council has said officials are reviewing how the number was added to the chain.
Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays is joining a number of other state AGs to warn about the recent bankruptcy of 23andMe, the direct-to-consumer genetic testing company. While the company claims it will not change how it stores and uses customer data, Mays warns of the potential of the company and its genetic data being sold. The warning includes steps for those who would like their genetic data to be deleted. To do so, the process can be found in the settings menu.
Coming up next, think about bringing a life jacket the next time you try to escape the heat.
That's right, Max, and many Arizona residents do so by flocking to our beautiful waterways. However, it can be quite dangerous endeavor without first taking the proper precautions. Details up next.
Arizona seems to be boiling up. Stay tuned after the break to see what our potential record-breaking temps might look like.
I grew up in a small border town, and water was really important to us. Without enough water, we can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems. With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
Arizona's beautiful lakes, rivers, and reservoirs attract thousands of outdoor enthusiasts each year. While these waterways offer endless opportunities for fun, I know I love them, they can also be dangerous if safety measures aren't taken. Cronkite News reporter Leslie Chapman took a look at some of the best practices when spending time out on the water.
From kayaking on the Salt River to boating on Lake Pleasant, people of all ages flock for some adventure. But with every splash comes a hidden risk.
COVID brought out a lot of paddle boarders and a lot of kayaks because it was a very inexpensive way to get out and explore nature and get out on the water, and it is a fantastic sport and hobby that people are picking up. We just want them to be safe about it.
According to the Arizona Game and Fish Department, a majority of the recreational boating fatalities were people who drowned and were not wearing a life jacket. This number is also reflected nationally. In the most recent statistics provided by the U.S. Coast Guard, 87% of drowning victims in 2023 were not wearing a life jacket.
But when you're on the water, the number one thing you can do to make sure that you're safe is put on a life jacket. It's the drowning is the number one reason why people don't come back from a day out on the lake or on the river.
Arizona law requires children 12 years and younger to wear a U.S. Coast Guard approved life jacket. Adults are not legally required to wear a life jacket, but they must be on board and accessible for each passenger.
Unfortunately, in recent years, the compliance rate on that has been very low. We've educated the public year after year on the law on that, and now we're probably at the point where enforcement action is going to be taken, because it is a serious issue.
Both Marsky and Hoffman said that life jacket loaner stations provided by the Ryan Thomas Foundation and the Arizona Game and Fish Department can help minimize the risk of drownings on the water.
Folks have to drive a ways to get to a lake to recreate. If they've forgotten a life jacket or they don't have one the right size, they're probably not going to call it quits and go home. They're going to just take the chance. So having life jacket loaner stations at these lakes helps to minimize that risk.
While the water in Arizona may look calm and relaxing, following life jacket law and having a plan in case of an emergency could be the key to minimizing the risk of tragedy on the water. Leslie Chapman, Cronkite News.
Well, that's certainly good to know, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be trying to get in the water to escape Arizona's record heat.
That's right, and Quentin Presley joins us now from the Cronkite Weather Center with what we can expect.
Thank you, Caitlin, and you're absolutely correct. Right about now is about the perfect time to go ahead and take a dip. But first things first, let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's weather report evening planner. It's boiling up in Arizona for sure, and today we were teetering on Arizona record-breaking heat history. Moving on, we're going to take a look at tomorrow's lows, and as we keep on getting further into spring, it's going to keep on getting warmer. Right here, 65 degrees in Phoenix and 53 degrees in Sedona. But kicking it up a notch, like always, we're going to take a look at tomorrow's highs, and they're going to be red hot, and I mean that literally. Let's take a look. 89 degrees in Ajo and 95 degrees over there in Yuma. That's staggering. The rest of the southern part of the state is going to stay within that 90-degree territory. But finishing up, we're going to take a look at our 8-day forecast. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday holding a little chance at precipitation, 10% to be exact. Now, the rest of the week is going to be cloudy Saturday, Sunday, Monday into next week, and it's going to stay within that mid-80s to low 90-degree territory. Finishing up, thank you all for tuning in. That's going to be all for this one. I'm Quentin Presley, sending it back to the desk.
Coming up next, the Cronkite Sports Report.
We'll recap the Suns' thrilling win here in the Valley last night.
Quick outlet pass to Booker, no look done. He'll jam it home with the right hand and the foul. The big time deuce and damage for the rookie Ryan Dunn.
That was the scene out at PHX Arena last night, where the Suns defeated the Bucks in a nail-biting 108-106 victory. All this and more coming up on Cronkite News.
As a teacher, you just want to reach people. You want to make a difference. You want to help them. I have an opportunity to do something I never imagined I would be able to do. Go out and build the best biology class the world has ever seen. When you go into Dreamscape Learn, you put on a set of goggles and you can go anywhere. You can be anyone and do anything. The thing about Arizona State University is they're always thinking about what's next. We can create virtual reality experiences so that you can learn by exploring in a virtual world the way that scientists explore in the real world. And kids can feel that. All these emotions are what help the brain encode information. When I see a student come out of VR, the look on their face is nothing like I've ever seen when I finish a lecture. They look so happy to be there in that moment. You know that you've reached them.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Paisley Poole. The Suns won their 4th game in a row last night after defeating the Bucks 108-106, and the Suns are getting hot at the right time. With 10 games left in the season, they are now half a game back from advancing to the 9th seed. The Suns were led by Kevin Durant, who had an outstanding 38-point performance, keeping them in the game all night. But it was Devin Booker's late-game heroics that made the difference. With the game tied at 106 in the final seconds of the game, Booker drained a 20-foot jumper with just 1.7 seconds left on the clock to give the Suns the lead, all of which was on the anniversary of Booker's 70-point game 8 years ago. Mike Budenholzer credited the win to the team's defensive activity.
I think Ryan has been a huge part of that. Cody getting healthy, Cody being in the lineup, Colin, but Tyus has found ways. Tyus has had a couple back taps, deflections, Oso's hands, Nick block shots. So, everybody's just participating. It's been good. We're trending in a better direction.
The Suns' recent success in their 4-game win streak isn't the only thing fans should be happy about. In that span, Kevin Durant outshined his peers on the court, earning himself the NBA's Western Conference Player of the Week, which would be the 33rd time in his career earning the nod. Durant earned himself the nod after he helped the Suns win all of their games last week in posting 27.3 points per game, along with 6.3 assists and 4.3 rebounds while shooting 58.8% from the field. The 38-year-old veteran is now tied for second all-time in Player of the Week recipients with NBA legend Kobe Bryant, only trailing the NBA's all-time leading scorer in LeBron James. NIL has been a hot topic in college sports like baseball ever since it was introduced. But many current major leaguers missed out on the opportunity to cash in. And as our Max William reports from spring training, some aren't too happy about it.
The NIL policy adopted by the NCAA in 2021 is now almost half a decade old, allowing college athletes to turn their name, image, and likeness into earnings. But some MLB pros who played before NIL disagree on the new direction of collegiate athletics.
For those guys making so much money, it's kind of crazy, and then switching schools every single year, I think it's terrible.
College baseball is great. It helped me a lot, helped me get to where I am today, and I think more people should be able to experience that, and I think it'll help.
21-year-old Carter Jensen chose the MLB draft route out of high school the same year that NIL was born. Looking back, he says a big benefit to college ball is time to build a brand online.
Especially with how easy social media circulates, you don't want to be saying the wrong things or putting the wrong stuff out there.
Today, many college athletes have access to tons of resources thanks to NIL. But just a few years ago, even the top collegiate athletes were more concerned about their next bite to eat instead of their next paycheck.
We implemented being able to pay for meals like my junior year, which was really nice. It made, playing ball a little bit easier.
I'm from old school college baseball where, you went out there and worked hard for what you had and you barely had enough money to go eat lunch on.
Renfro and pitcher Chris Stratton were teammates on a star-studded Mississippi State roster in 2011 and 2012, but never competed in a national championship. Stratton says NIL might have convinced him to stay longer.
Mississippi State was my hometown, that's my state, that's what I really wanted to do, was to play for them. So I kind of feel like I didn't get to achieve everything I wanted to, and I knew if I could have had the opportunity to go back and potentially play for another year, that would have been awesome.
And with some schools working with reported NIL budgets of $1.5 to $3 million, it's tempting for any prospect. In Surprise, Max Williams, Cronkite News.
Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks opened the season at Chase Field in just 2 days, and the bill aimed at funding necessary repairs to the ballpark advanced in the state legislature yesterday, but not without some opposition, namely concerned with where the funding is coming from and how it is being divided. Yesterday, an Arizona Senate committee passed a modified version of House Bill 2704, which would set a cap on public contributions to $500 million. The Diamondbacks have previously stated the renovations would cost $400 to $500 million and that they'd pay half of the cost themselves. However, Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego is calling for some changes, stating that the bill doesn't actually require the D-backs to pay for any of it at all.
There is a large gap between what the Diamondbacks have said publicly and what they've asked you to provide them in closed-door conversations. Publicly, they've said renovations will cost a total of $500 million and that they'll pay for half. But that math doesn't check out.
Now to one of the D-backs' biggest rivals in the NL West, the San Francisco Giants. This offseason, the Giants signed one of the league's best pitchers in ace Justin Verlander. Cronkite News reporter Ryan Pasesnik tells us why this makes the Giants' rotation one of the best in the division.
Three-time Cy Young Award-winning pitcher Justin Verlander agreed to a one-year deal with the Giants back in January, and throughout his first Cactus League, he has already grabbed the attention of his fellow teammates within the starting pitching rotation.
It's been fun to watch those guys go about their business every day and kind of bounce some things off of each other. It's nice to have two other veteran guys that have been around for a while, so it's definitely exciting.
Verlander will be entering year 20 in the majors and has had a ton of experience pitching deep into innings. With recent debates surrounding on if starting pitchers should be pulled earlier from innings, he will join a group that has prided itself on going the distance.
I think you had a guy like Justin who wants to throw as many innings and as many games as he wants, and Robbie as well, and myself. And you had a guy like Hicksy who's gained 15 pounds and really kind of bought into his starting routine.
Entering the regular season, the Giants pitchers will be tasked with having to compete with other top-heavy starting fives within their division, mainly the Diamondbacks and Dodgers. However, that doesn't stop them from being able to make a giant impact as well.
We got a good group of guys to come and help us, and just really excited. We have the best bullpen in the league, I think. So overall, the whole pitching core is pretty elite and probably the best I've ever been a part of. So it's just good, healthy competition.
The Giants will open their regular season series against the Reds on Thursday, March 27th. And with a pitching staff that has played with confidence and poise throughout spring training, they will look to stand tall in 2025. In Scottsdale, Ryan Pasesnik, Cronkite News.
Taking you back to the gridiron, the Big 12 champs are back on the field for the first day of spring football practice. The Sun Devils practiced this morning with no pads and got a good first look at some new pieces on the roster. Although coming off an extraordinary season last year, Kenny Dillingham and company are ready to raise the bar even higher.
Yeah, we need to keep the standard and raise it. You know, if we're the same team as we were last year, if we're the same standard as we were last year, somebody's going to surpass us. Because whenever you set the bar, there's a reason records get broken. Because whenever you set a bar, people break them.
That's it for the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Paisley Poole, and we'll be back after a quick break.
As a teacher, you just want to reach people. You want to make a difference. You want to help them. I have an opportunity to do something I never imagined I would be able to do. Go out and build the best biology class the world has ever seen. When you go into Dreamscape Learn, you put on a set of goggles and you can go anywhere. You can be anyone and do anything. The thing about Arizona State University is they're always thinking about what's next. We can create virtual reality experiences so that you can learn by exploring in a virtual world the way that scientists explore in the real world. And kids can feel that. All these emotions are what help the brain encode information. When I see a student come out of VR, the look on their face is nothing like I've ever seen when I finish a lecture. They look so happy to be there in that moment. You know that you've reached them.
A new discovery has just been made in our galaxy far, far away.
That's right. NASA says this celestial object looks just like an ice cream sundae. Scientists have dubbed it a cosmic tornado, which is some 630 light years away from planet Earth. The cosmic tornado was produced from a nearby still-forming star in the Milky Way. This image was captured by the James Webb Space Telescope.
That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Max Williams.
And I'm Caitlin Humphrey. Thank you for joining us.